everybody. I call this meeting into order at 4:03 p.m. Let's get started with roll call. Senator Bassnett? Here. Senator Hashimoto?
Here.
Senator Chimezie? Here. Senator Carlson? Here. Senator Roberts?
Here.
Senator T. Schaefer?
Here.
Senator Hawk? I believe she should be over Zoom. Senator Hawk? Senator Hansen?
Here.
Senator Osman?
Here.
Senator Dustin?
Here.
Senator Saha?
Here.
Senator Spears?
Here.
Senator Nguyen?
Yeah.
Senator Uzefa?
Here.
Senator Wing?
Present.
Senator Pena? Senator Pena? Senator Nowak?
Howdy.
Senator Flynn?
Here.
Senator Hopwood?
Here.
President Stiff?
Here.
Vice President Saverso?
Here.
Speaker Khan here. All right, let's get started. First order of business is presentations, and we have Students United joining us through Zoom.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Emma. So you have up to 10 minutes for the presentation, and then I will open the floor for questions.
Okay, could I get screen sharing capabilities real quick?
ID Solutions, can we get our presenter the screen sharing abilities? Thank you.
Thank you all. While we're getting that, hi everyone. Again, my name is Emma Zellmer, she, her, and I am the state chair of Students United. Pierre, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Pierre Young. I'm the treasurer of Students United. Great to see you guys again.
Summon, I don't.
Arnavi is
just got it.
All
Hi
right.
Arnavi, are you ready to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, my name is Arnavi Maltare, she, her pronouns, student at Mankato, vice chair for Students United. Sorry, the Zoom kicked me out. And yeah, next slide.
There we go.
Yeah, so this is a refresher of who we are. We are Students United. As you all know, we are a 501c3 independent nonprofit coalition. We represent and serve the students of 7 Minnesota State universities. Our board of directors are student body presidents of each Minnesota State University. So, and in Mankato's case, it would be President Stiff. Employees of Students United are day-to-day on the grounds operation of the organization. So we have a full-time staff that are tasked with advancing the vision, and that was established by board of directors each year. We provide a lot of training, programming, which is not limited to student advocacy, leadership, and organizing. We are also recognized as the official voice of students by Minnesota State Board of Trustees and State of Minnesota. So if you're a student, you're a member of Student United. And I'll hand it to Emma.
Awesome. So we'll try to go quick, but again, we are here to talk mostly about our budget, which has been approved unanimously by the board of directors. So all 7 student body presidents voted to support this budget last month. So when thinking about nonprofit budgets, it's really important to think about it in the way that's listed at the very bottom of the screen. Nonprofits' budgets are built off of their programming. So when we get audited, we want to make sure that our programming and what we're spending our money on represents the mission, vision, and values of the organization. So our programming is student advocacy, which we talk about mostly with all of you. That's our state lobby days, federal lobbying. There's student leadership, which is the investment into students who work with us. So we pay our interns $15 an hour. We pay students who sit on councils and committees, because that is something that we value as an organization. We want to make sure that what we're asking of other people, we are doing ourselves, as well as student organizing. So that's the advocacy conference for all of you who were able to join. as well as other efforts to engage students on campus. So that includes campus visits as well. I'm sorry we couldn't make it there with you all today. We were presenting to the Board of Trustees and had a couple ledge meetings. But something I want you all to keep in mind going forward is that programs equal the people and things that are putting on those programs, and that equals the budget. So if we cut the budget, we're cutting programming, which means we're cutting the people and things that put on that programming. So I'm going to go super quick since we only have 10 minutes, but here's some advocacy wins over the past 5 years. So system level, it's not on this list. So we actually just found out from the Board of Trustees today. Starting next year, there will be a hotline, a 211 hotline through United Way for students all across the system to call into, and that will connect them with not only campus resources, but also resources in their community for any student basic need. So that's something that we're really proud of, and that's what I wanted to highlight since we finally got that pushed through and we received funding for that, and that was a student-led initiative. As well as the affirmative consent policy was passed through all the Senates a few years ago, and the current system-wide affirmative consent policy is the language that students wrote and students passed. And that changed it from a no means no consent to yes means yes. So anything that's not yes is no. And if you all have any questions about any of these, feel free to ask at the end. We just need to go through this really fast since we only have 10 minutes. At the state level, we've also had a lot of advocacy wins recently. The one I want to touch on most is the increased emergency grant funds, as well as some other grants. So such as the Hunger Free Campus Grant. A few years ago, Students United partnered with LeadMN on a bill to receive funding from the state government to create a hunger-free campus. So this would be supporting food shelves on campus, as well as other things to ensure that students are able to be fed. And right now we sit on the committee to start handing out those grants, and we were also involved in creating the criteria for those grants.
Yep. So these are our federal advocacy wins, and something, since we don't have too much time, I want to highlight specifically one topic, that is federal stimulus payment for adult dependents. And so first, to people who were listed as dependents on their parents' taxes were left out of the CARES Act stimulus funds. Students United saw this and immediately reached out to state legislators. And then we had a joint letter from nearly 70 members of the State House of Representatives to a federal delegation on students' behalf. We also spoke directly to Senator Smith's office and Representative Craig's office. And they were the authors in the House and Senate on the bill that was passed. This also led to adult dependents being included in stimulus payment programs. So these issues that are mentioned on the slide addressed at the system, state, and federal level in large part because of the work of our board of directors, student staff, and full-time staff and alumni. And to have smooth functioning of work, we do need these people to keep working over and achieving great things. And I will hand it off to Emma again.
Yeah, so again, we're here to talk really in depth on our budget and what the board has passed and what we'll be bringing to the Board of Trustees, the Minnesota State Board of Trustees. So in order to draft our budget, we spoke not only with the past Board of Directors as well as this year's Board of Directors, but we also have 5 years of data from students as well as a student survey that we'll go into in a minute with our finance intern, but also following our strategic plan that was set out by not only alumni, but also donors as well, mostly students on our board, students who weren't on our board and just involved in campus, as well as alumni and others.
Everyone, finance intern with Hashimoto. We got the most recent data from everybody. Thank you so much for helping us to gather data. We identified the Advocacy, which is one of the biggest programs that we take care of. Has been a top priority among students. We got quite a few participants, which actually was really good data, and we are so confident about it. Thank you.
Oh, my turn. So I just want to go through the budget and organization oversight. So myself as a treasurer, I review all transactions that I receive and lots of emails that I receive to make sure the transitions are all good. Two signatures are required on all financial transactions. So that includes myself, Arnavi, Emma, and executive director's signature to make sure that transactions go through. Then the board of directors reviews financials monthly and holds quarterly fiscal review committees. So I run the fiscal committee chair. I only have to run it 1 year. Yeah, so it's just like we come together and kind of have a plan, strategic plan, what we need to do with our budget. And annual audit is performed each year from an outside company, Clifton Larson Allen, to ensure ethical and accurate financial reporting, to make sure that our budget is up to date and is accurate. And the annual audit is also sent to the Minnesota State System Office to ensure fiscal transparency and accuracy. Once again, make sure we have our budget all corrected. Board of Directors reviews the executive directors and officers of the board annually. The board of directors governs the organization, sets the vision, mission, values, strategic plan, and advocacy priorities of the organization. The board of directors participates and gives feedback on all programming. Next slide.
So the reason that we are coming to you all is in order to maintain our current programming, we need to increase our revenue. So we get revenue in two ways. One is through our grant and fundraising programs, which Arnavi will go over in a second. But our main source of revenue is student fees. And this is a fee set out by the Board of Trustees. Currently, the fee is 61 cents per credit, which is about $9.15 if you take 15 credits a semester. And this funding structure is really important in order to maintain being student-centered. When you look at how organizations are funded, whoever funds the most gets the most namesake. So we want to make sure that the students are that priority, but we have really been working on diversifying our revenue sources to ensure that students aren't the only people putting money in. So the reason that we are coming to you all today is because we need this stability. Over the course of these years, in-state enrollment is projected to be still declining for years to come. It was declining before the pandemic, and we've been working with Min-State on how to fix that. But this is not going to just change now that the pandemic is over and continuing on with our not over, but we're returning back to a newer normal. But also inflation due to the pandemic, as well as the war in Ukraine, has caused tech costs to go up. So even just contracts with our Zoom license, our Microsoft license have all gone up dramatically.
Sure.
And once
we have reached our time limit, I would encourage you to wrap up.
Okay, then I'm going to skip a couple things then. So the our board of directors approved a 19-cent fee increase to now 80 cents per credit instead of 61. The total change would be $5.70 over the course of an academic year for fall and spring. And then this is what our budget looks like. And we had a lot more. Sorry, there's a lot to go into with the budget, but we would be happy to answer any questions or provide any further insight for you all. And I'll leave this up while you all have questions, so you all can observe, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you all might have.
Thank you. I will take my first question from Senator Hashimoto.
Is that possible to motion?
No.
No, okay.
We're in the questioning period. I will take questions now.
Okay. I think I'll.
Senator Roberts.
Can you just clarify a bit, how this budget's being used, and just specifying that out a little bit?
Yeah, so this is the breakdown of the budget. So we have our top 3 programs, which is student advocacy, the student leadership program, and student organizing. Student advocacy in our survey results was the highest thing that students wanted to see us fund. So that takes up 32% of our budget. Student advocacy includes advocacy at the local, system, state, and federal level. So making sure that me, Arnavi, and Pierre are able to make it to the Board of Trustees meetings, as well as that looks like our chancellor meetings, as well as state advocacy that we put on and federal advocacy as well. The student leadership program is our internship program, as well as making sure that we can pay students for their time. So when students serve on our committees of the board, they are given a gift card for their time, something that you all focus on, as well as making sure that we aren't exploiting student labor. So we wanted to make sure we were showing that while we were asking the universities to step up as well. And we're hoping to expand the student leadership program. So right now it's 1 semester. We're hoping to really ensure that, first of all, we're going to have 7, they're going to be fellows and then specialists, 1 from each campus. So every campus has the same amount of buy-in. In the fall semester, they're going to go around the different departments, figure out what they like best and what would be best for their professional development. And then in the spring, they would be specialists, so they would be able to work more hands-on with the staff. And by having a longer time with the staff, they're able to have more professional development and also be able to help out the organization more. And they will start at $15 an hour, and when they're a specialist, they'll get up to about 17, I believe. Don't quote me on those numbers. That's just what I've overheard in discussions with staff. Student organizing looks like making sure we were able to make it to all the campuses. So for instance, this year, Arnavi and I didn't need to be reimbursed to come to Mankato's campus, but next year when the state chair is from Winona, the vice chair is from Metro, and the treasurer is from Southwest, they're going to need to be reimbursed when they come to Mankato's campus or another campus to get involved. As well as like if our board of directors, like let's say President Stiff were to come up and present to the board of trustees, we would compensate them for their time. Or if any of you all were to come up and be asked to testify in person, we'd make sure you were compensated for that. Operations looks like our Zoom license, our Microsoft license, making sure that we're staying up to date with legal, in case we need like a legal consultant on something, that we're able to cover that in our budget, as well as we need to have insurance to cover the board as well. Fundraising, one of the misconceptions about fundraising is you just bring in the money. You need money to fundraise. So that's our budget to ensure we can keep that going. And then just next year, we have a special budget line item. And this is our 55th anniversary budget. So for instance, at our 50th anniversary, this is where we bring in a lot of donors as well as students. So you all will be welcome to attend as well. So for instance, Senator Amy Klobuchar and a bunch of state representatives, as well as our federal representatives, come to our anniversaries because they want to not only donate, but also support our organization. And that program brings in a lot more money than we put into it. So we want to make sure we invest in opportunities for us to bring in more money. So that way we aren't coming back for another fee increase in the future. Did that answer your question?
All right. Thank you. Do I have any for Senator Hashimoto? Is that a question?
Yeah, I just wonder if it's possible to clarify the background of the fee increase in general.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Go for it.
Sorry, speaker. So the background of the fee increase in general is really ensuring that we are able to sustain our operations. So we were going to get into this. So these are the things we've done to sustain our operations over these past 2 years. We've written 2 federal PPP grants, which kept us afloat these last 2 years. We've narrowed down our operations as much as we can and narrowed down our focus, while still maintaining the mission, vision, and values of our student-led organization. We've also built in fundraising. So if we think back to about 6 years ago, Students United had no fundraising. We weren't bringing in extra money outside of scholarships. Our development has gone up over 300% since 2018. And although that's still not a lot of money, the growth is showing that we really want to make sure we aren't coming back. We also moved to a new office location. So the one I'm in now, it's like a big room for all our staff to do together instead of having a big office space like we used to have. And there also used to be I think like 10 years ago, they wanted to build a building for Students United. And then students were like, we don't need a building, and that's not a good use of our money. So we've been spending down that building fund over time, but now we're at a point where we only have about $200,000 in that building reserve, which we will be spending next year to make up the difference of the enrollment decline. So we aren't adding any fun bells and whistles, we aren't adding any new programs. This is just making sure that we're able to sustain all the great work we're doing for students right now.
Thank you. Senator Roberts, is that a follow-up question?
Yeah, different question.
Go for it.
You said that you were diversifying your funds. You talked about grants and the student fee. What other elements are you adding on to this in terms of generating revenue?
Yeah, so we're really working on the grants and fundraising parts, as well as our investments. Our scholarships are now at a point where they pay for themselves with our investments. So we are no longer needing to bring in outside revenue. So all of the fundraising that we're bringing in is no longer needing to go towards scholarships or be put away in a savings fund. We're able to use it right away to expand on the programming and make sure that we are staying afloat. And then the grants are really hard because a lot of times in order to get a grant, you need to show that you've received a grant. So without receiving a grant, it's hard to get new grants. But we currently are in the works of getting a grant for our student leadership program, which would be able to help us expand that program for our students, as well as provide some more professional development for them. But we're really in a weird place right now where we're like trying super hard to bring in grants, but every time we're getting close, they go, oh, can you show us the other grants you have? And we're like, well, if you gave us a grant, we could show you what grants we had. So hopefully in these coming years, we'll continue to diversify our grant revenue. Also, we're a really weird organization. A lot of grant funders in Minnesota want to fund things that they can see like immediate outcomes of. So advocacy organizations are really hard to find grants for because it's a long-term goal. I mean, we can go to the state government and say, give us our funding, but the state government's not always going to pass the bill you want. So that's why it's really hard to get grants for advocacy-oriented organizations, but we've been trying really hard over the years and we have started to receive small grants, so we're hoping to continue expanding those.
Thank you. I will take my last question on Senator Carlson.
If this increase doesn't happen, how will it affect Students United? Like, what are things going to have to be taken away? What's that going to look like?
Yeah, so the process for this is we're going to go to the Board of Trustees next month and do our first reading, then it'll hopefully get approved in June. If it does not get approved, let's say we stay at our 61 cents per credit because the Board of Trustees fails it, there's a lot of things that we're going to have to cut. For instance, our diversity, equity, and inclusion director left this new job. So we are currently holding off on hiring a new DEI coordinator because if we don't receive this money, we don't have the funds to hire more staff. We also need a student leadership program coordinator that will be in charge of all the interns. You can ask Rayudo more about his experience with that of like the cohort model. We wouldn't be able to hire that position. We would also need to be cutting back on, for instance, advocacy conference. We would need to be cutting back on state and federal advocacy. We'd have to cut back on being able to travel to the campuses, as well as bringing students to the system office. So the reason we had to be in person today and we couldn't be on Zoom at the Board of Trustees is because they said, you're either giving us written testimony or you're coming in person or you can do both. There was no online option. So let's say for instance, our board member from Winona, in order for them to come to the trustees meeting every month, we need to have that funding to reimburse them. So it's things like that would have to be cut out. And I'm still waiting to see the fully cut back budget that we would have, but it would be the bare bones, and we're already cut back to as much as we can to sustain what we're currently doing. So if we don't get this fee increase, we're going to not be able to ensure that we're able to hire those staff, which aren't new positions. We currently have them. We just need to rehire. So that's what would be cut back if we don't get the fee increase.
Thank you. And that concludes our questioning period. Thank you, Students United, for joining us today. I do not have any more presentations on my agenda. I'm going to move on to open forum. Do I have anyone here for open forum? Oh, actually, we were supposed to clap. Thank you, Emma, Arnavi, and everybody for joining us. This is how you know that I'm just rushing through this week. For my open forum, I have Karen with us today. Karen, you have up to 5 minutes to speak, and then I will open the floor for questioning.
Great, thank you. Is this on? Oh, thank you. Definitely understand that. The power of a battery needs to be spared. Hello, and thank you for having me today. My name is Karen Anderson. I'm the Assistant Director for Community Engagement here at MSU Mankato, and I'm an alum graduated from here in 1986. Happy to be back to serve my alma mater and the students. I am here specifically not to talk about volunteering, but because I work in volunteer services, I'm privy to information that comes through from different service agencies in the community. And I came across information I thought was really important for students to know about. Very important in this economic situation, because if you've ever heard of SNAP benefits, or what used to be called food stamps, you know that because of the public health emergency, food stamps are being extended for students. Before the public health emergency, if you were a student, you had to work so many hours in order to qualify for food stamps, for SNAP benefits. Right now, during the public health emergency, they are waiving that. So you don't have to work. If you're a student, just go try and sign up, see if it'll fit. Believe me, right now, we are looking for every sort of resource we can get for our students. And so if you are a domestic student, please go online to research, to Google food stamps. You can apply online, or if you go to any of the food banks in the area, most food banks would have information about how you can sign up and qualify for this. Of course, I realize this doesn't impact the international students because this is a federal program, but I also know that there are lots of domestic students that could really benefit from it. And I hope that you will take advantage of this. It's a public health emergency, which means that it's only extended for 3 months at a time. So go now and apply, get that benefit. It may be replenished again in another 3 months. I haven't heard if anybody else is talking about this, so I really wanted to make sure that you heard about this, and please spread the word. We want to get those resources available to our students as much as possible. So I know I wasn't talking about volunteerism, I just really want to make sure you had access to that resource. Please spread the word, get support for our students as we can. Any questions?
Thank you. Do I have any questions? Any questions? Any questions? And again, if you guys have any questions that you can't think of right now, Karen is always available in student activities.
Yes.
And she replies to emails very quick. Senator Dustin.
Yeah. I just want to thank you because in your presentation you acknowledged the fact that it's a federal program. So I just wanted to know, do you know of, is there any alternative program that could help international students too?
That's a great point. Not domestically, not within our federal government, but as you know, here at MSU, for a long time now, we've had several programs that have been available to address food insecurity. If you go to the Facebook page for the Campus Kitchen, you'll find a map of all the places in the Mankato and extended Mankato area where you can go to get free food or free meals, reduced cost groceries. In addition to that, this sounds like a common commercial I do all the time. So I work, part of my job, my work employment is to manage the Campus Kitchen. Campus Kitchen has been here at MSU since 2005. We take food left over from restaurants, make it into meals for people facing food insecurity. We've made about 130,000 meals over the years. We collect about 8 to 10 tons of food annually and redistribute it either as meals or as groceries for places like Campus Cupboard, everywhere from South Central College down to Maple River Loaves and Fishes. We've got some strong volunteers right here amongst your team. We also recognize in 2013 our neighbors and where we work, the Campus Cupboard was created by the people, a class that actually was created at, it's like a student food pantry over at Crossroads, and that was in 2013-14. And then that's still available for students to come in and pick up food, as well as in 2021, the Maverick Food Pantry was created as well. In 2020, Kara would tell you that we've launched our Swipe Out Hunger, and that is actually something that a lot of international students take advantage of. The thing with that is, and I gotta back up a second and explain, my job is to coordinate volunteers, but Swipe Out Hunger is what I do in my spare time as a volunteer. So the whole 700 to 900 students that get swipes on a regular basis, up until 3 weeks ago, I was doing that all by myself in my spare time. So that meant, and my philosophy was that I don't eat until the students eat. So that meant that I was here till midnight, 1 o'clock sometimes. I was not getting paid to do it. But it was very important and valuable. And I want to draw attention to the fact that a lot of things in this world that you do, you're never going to get paid for. I'm not saying not unfair compensation. I'm saying, please remember that when you leave these doors, not everything you do are you going to get paid for it? But it's still very valuable and important. Starting right down to being a good parent, being a good neighbor, picking up after yourself, you know? Putting that grocery cart away. You know, everybody in the parking lot with me knows what I'm talking about. Put that grocery cart away. My car door needs that help. But the point is that there's so many people that contribute so much to our community in that way, whether it's the hours I serve for Swipe Out Hunger, or whether it's the ability for somebody to pick up Panera so that somebody can turn around and receive it and use it as food. And it's because of that system that we have the ability to have more food available for students. So I would encourage you, if you're looking for ways for students to have more access to food, let's come together and talk about some of those resources, because I promise you, there's agencies out there that have food that we can't tap because I only have so many hours in a day. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. It's been a rough week. But if we have more volunteers that just donate an hour, 2 hours a week, every 2 weeks even, you'd be surprised how much capacity we can build to address those issues. You know, the real reason that Campus Kitchen took this on, the real reason community engagement took on the free farmers market, the little Campus Kitchen little fridge and the bread cart, was because as a community engagement problem solving, community engagement is all about problem solving. It's about seeing what's going on in the community and doing something to address it. This is not what I was planning to talk about, so I'm sorry I'm only on 5 minutes. But the idea is that we're looking to address real issues in our community, and so if you come together and we can work on it, we can find more resources. But it can't be just a Karen project, because Karen needs to be able to go home some nights, okay? Okay, anything else that I can answer for you?
Thank you. I will take my 2 last questions, starting with Senator Osmond.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you answered that question, but can you tell us how many people applied for Swipe?
Senator Osmond, please speak louder so that people on Zoom can hear.
I'm not.
So how many people are receiving Swipe?
How many people apply per week for Swipe Up for Hunger?
It depends. Right now things are going down. It kind of goes in cycles. And so I would say between October and February is when we get everywhere from 10 to 30 people a day that apply. At the peak, I had 98 people apply in one day. That's a real late night for me. That's well beyond a part-time job. But I'm volunteering because it matters to me. And I hope that, and I told Kara when I took it on, that this is only temporary until you can find somebody to do it, because it's not sustainable for a volunteer to take it on. So I'm grateful that that's kind of the direction you're going. So if that kind of answers your question, is where we're at. The tricky part is that during the pandemic with Swipe Out Hunger, the number of swipes we get donated from Seduxo is dependent upon the number of people that are living in the residence halls. When that occupancy is higher, we get more swipes. When it's lower, we don't get as many. The other tricky part is that Swipe Out Hunger isn't meant to replace a meal kit. The goal is not to, the goal is really to get you over that hump until you can find access to those resources that I had on that map. Till they have the ability to get over to the Campus Kitchen, Campus Cupboard. I mean, let's face it, Campus Kitchen, the Campus Kitchen little fridge has delicious Olive Garden food, might I mention. That's available, yeah, oh yeah. That's available from 8 in the morning till 9 at night, Monday through Friday. There's a microwave right there, go ahead and warm it up. There's a bread cart there from Panera. It's really easy and simple, and the idea is that students in their volunteering can prepare that food and stick it there in their fridge, so all you have to do is warm it up when you need it. You know, we know that it's not easy. That's why we have the microwave. We know that there are students that don't have access to a kitchen. That's why we put the microwave there. So the more information we know, the more we can do something about, but again, it needs to be us all trying to address it together.
Thank you. Senator Hansen?
If someone wanted to volunteer for Campus Kitchen, how would they do that?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm so glad you asked that. One, what you could do is, if you go on to Involve You and look under the Community Engagement Office, every 2 weeks we open up links in conjunction with sending out our newsletter. And quite honestly, most of our shifts are limited to about 4 to 5 students. The greatest we have is for ongoing volunteers. That's like what Kara had done last year and what Zahara has been doing for 4 years, might I add. Let me tell you, we're gonna miss you next year, so if anybody drives a car, let me tell you, we'd love to talk. But the idea is that just by volunteering 1 hour a week to go pick up the Panera, to go down to Olive Garden and pick up the food, to deliver the meals to South Central College, or to all the other places in our area, just an hour a week, and oftentimes with our team, we have 2 or 3 people that can trade off. So like when Zahara's not doing it, Kwesi was doing it. When Kwesi's not doing it, Dr. Will Brassard was doing it for Panera. So we try really hard to make many hands keeping the work light. But if you're interested in being a leader, if you go on to Involve You, some systems are tough to fight here. If you go on to Involve You and look on the forums, search under forums for Campus Kitchen Shift Leader, that would be what you would be considered looking for. So,
Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Karen, for joining
Sure.
us today.
My pleasure.
Do I have anybody else for open forum today? Is that an open forum, Senator Salo? You can take the floor.
Before I do start, I'm going to pass this around real quick.
Please keep in mind that this will be up to 5 minutes, and then I will open the floor for questions.
Yeah, definitely. Ready?
I will start the time once you guys are ready.
I think we're ready.
Awesome, let's go.
Right now, I have a lot of FSL members. I know some of them are still here on the board. I do not want to call them out. We definitely did hear of the concerns of what FSL brought to us. Me as a senator took this opportunity and a public platform to address some of the issues that happened. So if you can see in a pamphlet, if you have received one, definitely the one on the seats have. I'm going to read that off real quick before I talk about it. It's regarding fraternity sorority life allocation. It's co-motion by Student Body Athletic Senator Zahara and myself. It reads as, whereas fraternity sorority life at Minnesota State University requested $15,000 for their next year's budget, whereas most of the student government leaders decided to cut FSL budget by 1/3 of the requested amount, whereas most organizations on the student activity fee budget didn't see such a drastic amount cut in a single time, whereas a lot of events hosted by FSL would be impacted and cut because of it, whereas some organizations got the requested amount or amount more than that they requested, whereas FSL members and its leaders have demonstrated through their presentation the accomplishment in their works in philanthropy, community service, demonstrated advocacy in events like mental health awareness and diversity days. Be it result, student government realized the cut demonstrated was somewhat unjust in hindsight. Be it further result, student government realizes the community service and philanthropy done by FSL have impacted the community and the campus as a whole. Be it further result, student government undo the past action taken. Be it further result, student government appreciates the dedication by FSL and grants a one-time allocation of $5,000 to compensate for the deduction. Before I speak on it, I want to acknowledge the fact that a lot of self-growth and interpersonal growth has been for me being involved in FSL. Me being involved in FSL this year, along with my counterpart, has seen a first all person of color recruitment chairs in 20 years of its history, or maybe even more. We in FSL and Minnesota State University Mankato is growing, is changing, is becoming better. It should be counted for its merit of the whole body at its own and shouldn't be judged by anything other else. she has something to speak.
Yes. I just want to say why I co-motioned this resolution. You may just say why I'm changing my mind as a SAC my decision, but because the budget presentation was really not the presentation, the budget meeting. There's a lot of things that happened and a lot of things were changed. It's not fair that some department got way more than they requested, but we still did overlook the FSL and why they got cut. For example, MIT got a whole $17,000 more, but we can't say that we don't have money to fund FSL, which is only $5,000 what they need. And our constituents spoken. We got 300 members of FSL that are here watching online, and they do want us for that $5,000 being back.
Madam Speaker?
Yes.
I would move to suspend the order of the day to introduce the FSL allocation motion at resolution as new business.
I am not accepting any motions. Senator Saab?
This is the suspending the order of the day.
I'm not accepting that, and I will explain. I want to give you guys the chance to speak because you still have 38 seconds. If there's anything else you would like to add, go for it.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm Lauren Wojcik, Panalytic President. I do just want to appreciate these two for their work that they are putting in for this. We are a community of 300 people, and this decision impacted all of us, whether you see it or not. And we would really appreciate your support on this.
Thank you. All right. Before I open the floor for questions, here's something I would like to explain to FSL right now. We very much hear and appreciate all the work you guys are putting in. And I, for one, am very thankful for you to show up. The reason that this cannot be included into the agenda and voted on is because the procedure has not been followed. The procedure to be followed is this resolution has to come up into the committee, has to be talked and discussed in the committee the week before, and then it has to bring forward. A resolution cannot be brought forward in a last meeting like this, because none of the senators here have heard about this. They did not have a chance to talk about this, even though I just want to put this forward. We are very concerned. We hear you, we see you, we want to make that change, but the procedure has not been followed. Hence, I cannot add this. But I would strongly advise the senators who are passionate to add this to pass it along to the re-elected senators. The next new Senate will be in place from next week, and that is the place where they can continue talking about this, bring it forward, and follow the procedure. So again, I very much appreciate you guys showing up. I very much appreciate the concerns that you guys are bringing up. I want to hear your voices, but the procedure has not been followed. And I cannot give the Senate not a chance to talk about this, because that is the procedure that we have followed this year and last year. With that being said, I will now open the floor for questions where the senators will have a chance to ask questions. Can I say something about like procedure-wise?
Madam Speaker?
1 second. I'm going to yield to my advisor to add some more information.
So just for some context, folks, as this resolution is written, and I did express this to both Senators Osmond and Saha earlier today, as it's written, this actually does not follow Maine State Board policy or university policy. So even if this was brought in, voted, and approved, it would be done in the water. And this is part of why we asked senators to bring this up ahead of time, is so that we can go through and we can vet this and put a really strong recommendation forward. Because ultimately we want to see resolutions succeed. And that's what we do in committee meetings, is we actually just went through and we went through proofreading, we went through changing up language to make sure it was much tighter, more concise. And so when it comes up with something like this, regardless of whether the sentiment is there, it's preventing any meaningful action from being taken when the questions haven't been asked ahead of time of what is the best path forward. In email correspondence, it was provided the steps forward as far as looking at a one-time allocation, and that was something that was confirmed with the SAC advisor. So I at that time I stressed like, hey, let's use the pass-through there as opposed to bringing this up. Just for some context, like I can actually share the screen on what this would look like and show you kind of what changes would need to be made in order for this to make sense. And when I say this, it's because these resolutions come forward with your names on them, and I want you to be represented in that best light possible. So keep in mind, like this is really like, when an advisor or when somebody brings up this stuff of like, hey, this needs more feedback, it's because we want a stronger overall product to come out of this. So.
Thank you. I will take my first question from President Stitt.
Yeah, I just want to comment that, again, we would have discussed this motion, but we've already informed Senator Saha and Senator Osmond of the correct way to do that, and it seems that they're not willing to listen to the advisor as to the correct path forward. Emmy, as she just duly noted, stated how we can do this, and we as student government don't have the purview to give you a one-time allocation. That has to go through SAC again. Might I note, Senator Osmond was a vice chair of SAC, and Senator Saha sat on SAC. And to my knowledge, during the deliberations where this money was being decided, I don't think Senator Saha was there. And so that would have been a place for that real advocacy to happen, not after the fact. So with that being said, I just have a question for Senator Saha. So like, you mentioned that like, I think from our recollection of our budget deliberations, Senator Saha, you were the one that brought up this conference in question that everyone's talking about. So like, if the purpose wasn't to cut that money, why did you bring it up?
Okay, there's a lot of SAC members. I did not propose that. So that's a rumor I'm going to clarify on public forum right now. And to answer your question, as well, in the SAC guidelines section 1, student government has the power to override or vary from any action recommended by SACs, which it means is that this board right here, all the members sitting here, has the power to override any variations of SAC, which means that if we do intend to a one-time allocation, we can. Secondly, the fact that the motion was not addressed, a motion of that sort has to be addressed by the chair because it's not on the chair's purview if it needs a second. So I do not see at this very platform of why people are not being objective and following the Robert Rules of Orders, which is actually mandated and stated in our Constitution. And that's it. That's all I want to say.
1 second. Senator Saha, I very much appreciate you bringing forward your concern.
I just want to say one thing.
1 second. I'm not done. I very much appreciate your concern. I hear you. I have a question. Were you and your second present at the last committee meeting? Which is the procedure? Did you and your second bring forward this resolution to the committee? Were you guys there? My first question.
I was at the immigration attorney thing.
The whole time?
Majority of it.
I didn't see you there.
I was there, and I saw you there sitting at the front.
All right, besides the question, Senator Saha, since I do not have opinions about the resolution, my whole job here is to be fair. Did you present this at the last committee meeting? Were you present at the last committee meeting?
Okay, Madam Speaker, what I'm going to say is I already took permission from our committee chair that I have internship this semester, and that's already been provided.
Senator Saha, besides the point, you have to be present. You have to present this. If you were not going to be present, you have to find a senator who presents this. Yes, we can go over the budget that SAC recommended, but the senators need to have a chance to see this. They need to have a chance to talk about this. They need to have a chance to ask questions. You need to answer those questions.
Can I speak?
A resolution cannot be brought forward unless it has been discussed in the committee. That is the rules that we have followed all year. So unless the procedure is not followed, you cannot come forward and accuse. All right? Ask your question now.
Okay, Madam Speaker. So that's what suspending the order actually does, is overrides the whole aspect of it.
Again, Senator Saha, if you were present at the last committee meeting, this is where it was discussed. This is the last meeting. We already have 2 motions on the floor. We already have 2 resolutions that have been going on. In the last committee meeting, it was discussed the resolutions that we will be talking about in today's meeting. Since it was not brought up in the last committee meeting, the procedure hasn't been followed. So if the procedure hasn't been followed, I would accept you trying to go out of order for the agenda. If you presented this in the last committee meeting, which you as a senator should be aware of that you are supposed to do that. If you did present and then I said that no, I'm not going to add this to the agenda, that would be considerable. But right now, none of the senators here have had a chance to talk about this, have had a chance to review this, and see if they, as senators, would like to bring it forward to the Senate.
Madam Speaker,
Yes.
that's what exactly suspending the order of the rules does. I would ask you to look up or suggest recommending a parliamentarian to look at
Senator
Saha, you are not serving as the speaker of this meeting.
Okay. One second. I don't need anyone to go out of order here. Senator Saha, I'm the chair, I'm the speaker. These are the rules that I announced in the start of the year, which I would have very much appreciated if all the senators followed. And this is what we followed all year. Is there anything else you would like to add?
I just want to answer Brianna's question. Yes, so you mentioned that Avi was not present at deliberation. To my knowledge, nobody from our SAG member mentioned that, and our meetings are private. So who informed you of that?
You can answer.
I'm the president, so people tell me things all the time. It's my job to know these things. So I know when people are not showing up to committees and when they're not doing their duties. So I don't really need to answer who told me what. It doesn't matter. Were you at all of the deliberations, Avi? All of them?
Yes.
You were at every...
Defer to Mark.
Defer to Mark.
Majority.
All right, everybody, I don't need everyone to go out of order. Please wait for me to call on you. I would like to yield to Mark to add some information.
All I want to say is, folks, a discussion is a good thing to have. Personal attacks are not the right place to do this right now. We shouldn't be bringing up past things, anybody along the way, about what we've heard and what we haven't heard, and hearsay and those type of things. So I would ask you and anybody else that wants to talk about the past, let's not go down that road. Let's have a good discussion. Appreciate Manahil, everything you've done. I think you've done a good job keeping the meeting. But let's not go into any personal attacks and what we think we've heard or haven't heard, because that's not the place for that, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
My second question is, last committee meeting, majority of the senators were at the attorney presentation, so how can we bring that up? How many people attended that meeting?
To my knowledge, one second. To my knowledge, senators were requested to attend unless they have a resolution they wanted to talk about. If you were one of the senators who wanted to bring forward a resolution that you were really passionate about, you should have been at the meeting, because many of the senators attended the meeting and did not come to the immigration attorney event because they wanted to discuss about the resolution.
Okay, but I do want to add one thing. We did, 2 weeks ago, we did had a meeting after Senate, and we did talk about FSL situation. And Kara, somebody asked Kara is it okay if we do a one-time allocation, give them those $5,000. She said, I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to entertain that, because if we do that, then everybody's going to call us a bigot, and then they're going to demand more money.
No, Senator Osmond.
I'm just saying, we would have brought this, but because.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm the speaker. I entertain a motion. Unless I tell you something, you cannot bring that forward and attack people. All right? Now,
just attack Abby though?
One second. There is no attacks happening. FSL, I very much appreciate you guys being here, and I, outside of my speaker role, would go and talk with you guys, would be your voice. But at the same time, the procedure is not followed. The procedure needs to be followed. If the senators who you have been working with brought this forward, I very much would entertain it. Talking about it does not mean you had the resolution that you brought forward with all the senators. I'm not talking about the fact if senators are gonna vote yes or no. That's a different question. I'm talking about the fact that they were not informed. They all need to be informed. That is the procedure. If the procedure has not been followed, I cannot entertain this. And this is what that was discussed in the last week committee's meeting of how we're gonna, what resolutions we're gonna be entertaining in the last meeting. So this is not an attack, this is not a favor or a hatred for anybody. My job here is to be fair for everyone, and if a procedure has not been followed, I cannot entertain this motion. But again, I very much would encourage and advise every FSL member to work with the re-elected senators, because then they will have the time to bring this forward to the Senate and then talk about this, follow the procedure, get it into the agenda, and vote on it. So for right now, since the procedure hasn't been followed, I cannot entertain this. I will take my last, would you like to add something, Lauren?
Yes, I would like to add something.
Go for it.
I do want to appreciate for listening, all of you for listening to this, to our voices. Is the procedure public knowledge? I would be gladly willing to follow that, myself, and ensure that this ensures that both of us are doing things in the correct manner. I take full responsibility for, personally, I take full responsibility for the mishap that has happened here today. A lot of feelings and opinions are being expressed, and I respect all feelings and all opinions on every side. However, I personally will ensure that the procedure is followed from now on. And so I know that this is the last one, and you guys are turning over your seats now, but I would love if I could contact somebody and attend office hours, because I hear you do have office hours. I would love to attend those and speak this through with all of you, if possible.
Thank you, Lauren. I very much appreciate that. Yes, in the start of the year, and to my knowledge, I was a senator last year, and this is a procedure that was followed. But this year, at the start of the year, before we got started, we introduced all the rules of how to introduce a motion. They are supposed to be introducing that in the committee the week before, then getting that added to the agenda, and the next week, if we have the conversations in the committee, if they have had a chance to discuss, answer questions, we'll be bringing forward into the next week's student government and getting that added on the agenda. All senators were aware of this knowledge. I would like to just confirm with Emmy if that is a public knowledge, if that's like in our website or somewhere.
So as far as the way to introduce a motion, it's relatively standardized. It's not written into our governing documents per se. A thing to note about this type of a resolution in particular is that because it is a resolution that would have potential to impact student activity fee, it can't go in and just change one line item. It would actually require rescinding the entire student activity fee, which would take a 2/3 vote, and then having to go through and reallocate every single budget line. And so for something like this, if you do a one-time allocation, and this was again shared in the email that was sent over, as was mentioned in SAC guidelines, which are public knowledge, student government can change a recommendation, but it does need to come initially from SAC. So there is a form actually, and I can show you it. You can sit down with Mark and I, we can chat through it. More than happy to do so. Where you can specifically go in and request, and I did share this with John Volcock as well, to have additional funds through a one-time allocation. Then SAC would make a recommendation, and then that would come through on the consent agenda for voting. So there is a procedure for this. Like, this is definitely, like, if this is a path that's interested in being pursued, there is a way to do so. It's just that, as is written and as was advised to the senators who co-motioned this, the path needs to be followed so that the money can get to the right spot. So,
Joey, do you have something to add?
I have a motion. I would like to motion for an up to 5-minute recess in order to just work this out in a more civil way that's not just lobbying insults at each other from across the table, so that we can just like really get down to the bare bones of this and figure this out in a less formal way that's less just us having a recorded meeting of throwing insults at each other.
I will ask for a vote for this instead of a second, because my first concern is the procedure hasn't been followed. Senate meeting is not the place to have conversations and discussions. That's why we have committees. If everybody here is in favor for a 5-minute recess, I will entertain that, but I would like to also remind the Senate that we have a long agenda today, and this is our last meeting. All in favor to have a 5-minute recess, raise your placards. All against, raise your placards now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All abstain, raise your placards now. All right, so on a vote of 8 to 11 to 0, this motion fails. Right now, I would like to answer any questions that FSL have. Again, I would like to just let you all know that student government supports each and every student. We hear students. The procedure needs to be followed. If the procedure is not followed, we cannot entertain resolutions, very surprisingly, at the end of the meeting, because this does not give chance for the senators to even review or discuss this, and that is unfair to the senators. My job here is to make sure that everything is fair for every student, so I cannot entertain this because that wouldn't be fair for my senators. Unless you have any other questions that you would like to ask me, we can adjourn this right now.
I have a question, Madam Speaker.
Senator Saad, this is your last question. Go for it.
That's fine. I will ask, my question would be that, is budget meeting considered a Senate meeting as well? Then I have a follow-up to that.
Budget meeting is a Senate meeting, but it's the budget meeting, so we suspend all other order of businesses. Is that right, Emmy?
Correct, yeah. So in the operating policies, there's a section under special meetings, and underneath that, it does actually designate the budget meeting and the parameters that are typically followed around that particular meeting. So there are different categories of Senate meetings, and so it would not necessarily be a direct comparison for whatever question you were about to ask.
Okay. Before I adjourn this, I see some of my senators have some opinions they would like to share. I'm going to allow 30 seconds for each person to share what they want to, and then I'm going to adjourn this. Senator Roberts.
Yeah, my comment is, if you want to see this talked about, SAC is still in session. So what you can do is you can submit a non-budgeted request form for the 5,000, and then SAC can then discuss this further. But yes, I agree with the speaker. The operating procedures haven't been followed.
Thank you. Senator Flynn.
I would be in support of this, except that the way this is worded, it kind of opens floodgates for everybody coming back in and going, what about my money? What about my money? What about my money? As has been suggested by a few other senators, it would be probably best to go through the SAC process to do a one-time allocation. The way, if I were in your spot, to do this, I would suggest that you perhaps wait until next year and then do a one-time allocation next year out of next year's budget. That would probably go through a lot smoother and kind of take all of the heatedness out of it.
Senator Flynn, we have reached the time limit. Thank you. Vice President Sawarso.
Awesome. So since my name was brought into this discussion, I guess I'll pipe in. I stand by what I said, which is that if we grant this based on new information that wasn't provided to SAC and or at the budget meeting, then we are opening the floodgates for everyone to come in and say, well, I'm mad too, I'll stand up behind Senate, can I get more money? So, no, I'm not going to be supporting this, and for the reason that we all talked about in Senate was that a lot of this money is going towards speakers and towards a conference. And so...
Vice President Sawarso, you've reached the time limit.
Okay.
Thank you. President Stipp?
Wait, don't start my time yet.
All right, it started now.
It's really unfortunate that this is happening at the last meeting. Lauren, it's really unfortunate that you have been lied to. And so, Senate stands by our decision, and the way this was worded, I want you to know we haven't seen it. And so, Abby, again, you didn't show up the way you were supposed to, and maybe the allocation would have been different. You were on SAC. you got to decide about some of these things. You recommended this number. You and Senator Osmond. And so with that being said, we're done with this. This is not the time to discuss it. We've already passed 2 referendums that have already gone to the president and been signed. President Secretary, I'm gonna wrap up. We're not bigots and we don't hate FSL. We went by the recommendation that SAC was on, and we recommended to a few senators to go be on SAC. And so with that being said, that recommendation came back from the people that are standing next to you, and that is what we voted on. So I'm sorry, this was not supposed to be some confusion, and I'm very upset that our last meeting has been derailed in this manner, because it's crazy. Abby, Senator Osmond, they've already talked to our advisor, and I'm sorry, Abby, that you disagree with what the wisdom of our advisor has already told you, and we have to spend 30 minutes talking about this right here. And I'm sorry, Hill, but okay, I'm done. I'm very upset right now, and I'm sorry to all of you all that we have to sit here and do this right now too. After all of you have already followed the correct procedure last week. So, sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, I'm also gonna go out of order, but I also wanna ask who would like to Lauren?
And Madam Speaker,
okay,
I'm
hold
gonna go
on.
out of order.
You guys are out of order.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out of order and say that no, I
Senator
was not
Saha.
deciding.
Hey,
No,
Senator Saha.
Abby, no.
Senator Saha, either take a
Enough of that.
seat or please step out of the chamber. Senator Osmond, take a seat. I would like to apologize to FSL on student government's behalf. This is a place where my senators should have been educated more. I'm sorry that you guys have had to face this. This is not the place that it should have been done. Budget meeting, SAC recommendations is where all these discussions happen. The senators who are representing FSL were a part of that SAC. Then the long 10-hour-long budget meeting is where this advocating should have been done. It didn't happen. If this, again, wanted to be done, that should have been brought forward, not surprisingly, at the last meeting. This disrespects every other senator and myself here. So I apologize on behalf of student government to FSL that you guys have not been informed enough. I encourage you to come back to student government with the re-elected senators. And I would, because I have some re-elected senators here, I would like to encourage each and every one of you to please be educated yourself and then educate the constituents you are representing so that all of you can achieve the things you are passionate about achieving. With that being said, thank you for being here today. Thank you for all you do for school. I appreciate you. Student government appreciate you. We just need to be fair. We need to follow the procedure that we have followed all year.
I completely understand. We have procedures we have to follow as well. I do apologize on behalf of myself. Usually I do stand up and say that I speak for all of FSL, but today I do apologize for myself and my misunderstandings. I will leave it at I will be back, and I will be willing to have these conversations about procedure, and I am willing to have these conversations and be more in a positive light.
Thank you.
But yes, I respect each and every one of you for doing this and putting in this work and this last year that you put in, and I respect the ones who went up for re-election and who got it. Congratulations, by the way. But yes, I will be back, and I'm willing to have these conversations. So thank you.
I am in my office till the end of this week. Please come and ask any questions. I would be more than willing to help you educate on how this should be done. Again, I appreciate you guys being here, attending the Senate, and I'm sorry for all the, I don't have any words for this. Thank you. I'm going to adjourn this. Moving on to next. Senator Saha, please take your seat. Do I have anyone else for open forum today? Anyone else for open forum today? Last call for open forum. I'm going to quickly look at Zoom.
It's okay. It's okay.
Open
It's a motion.
I'm not. Okay. All right, everybody. Okay, back. Senator Flynn, do you have a motion on the floor?
Motion to recess for 2.5 minutes to kind of just chill out.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a dissent? All right, we're having a recess for 2.5 minutes.
Wow.
Robert, can you mute us?
I'm not here.
All right.
You said hi to Kalua, so I just wanted to say hi back.
Okay, guys. Okay, we're back in to meeting. I will not be accepted. Vice President Russo, we're back in the meeting. Everyone on their seats. My next open forum candidate is Vice President Russo, Senator Osman. We're in meeting. I will not be accepting this. Next open forum candidate, I have Vice President Morris.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to share with you where we're at on a couple of resolutions that you have talked about in the past, as well as some work on around ADA that has been of particular interest to the university, starting from the very beginning of the year. So I want to bring you up to date where we're at. on a series of things. I know Senator Novak has a resolution that's coming up a little later, and I will give you some background information on that. The resolution you're going to hear from Senator Novak is resolutions we have seen already because they have come from other groups. We as the university administration like when our students give their own voice to it. So that's what I believe Senator Novak's resolution is, to a resolution that we have seen from the IFO, also from Students United and the College Democratic Group, I think have shared with us. So you're going to be a series of resolved and resolutions in that. And let me share with them. We have already begun to work on them because we have received them over a month ago. And there's none that we disagree with as an institution. Some nuances we will figure out as we work them through, but all of them seem reasonable. And even if they're not, you can still share them with us. But I think they are all ones that will help us continue to make this a better place for all our students, including our students who need additional support from the institution to be successful here. The other thing is that I have co-chairing with Vice President Jones a task force set up by the President for us to look at, which asked us to look at 3 questions. 3 questions from the President for this group to look at, which included representation from our shared bargaining groups. So I had faculty on it, students were invited to be on it, administrators as well as experts, whose job is to work on certain kinds of things. And those 3 questions that the President asked us to look at confirmed that we are following system, state, and federal requirements related to fire safety and ADA. Identify and make recommendations to address any gaps or deficiencies in the emergency operation plan related to fire safety and accessibility. 3, make recommendations for implementing best practices that have been proven effective, and provide input on developing a schedule to regularly conduct fire evacuation drills across campus. So those are things we will be recommending and sharing with the President. We will be sharing that with you also to get your feedback on what we have forward. We also are asking very strongly and encouraging and willing to bribe those students who we are talking about, i.e. those students who need assistance being evacuated from facilities. So we have 3 that are registered with our office who have accessibility issues, i.e. wheelchairs, and would need assistance. We have been trying to get them, and we're now at the point where we can get cards and anything else to get them to give us feedback, because I think the worst thing to do is to talk about a group of people and they're not involved with your conversations, because we may be missing some nuances that only they can share with us as members of those communities. So again, we are still getting feedback on the plan, but we're moving forward on those things. The other thing that we're doing is we are revamping the ADA advisory group to make it part of our formal shared governance process. Right now it's informal. So we're working on what it works on, what it looks at, what it deals with for the university. So we should have that also passed, hopefully before the end of the semester. The good thing about it is that all the discussions and issues and controversy around ADA issues has brought it to light and has given us a full year of discussions on the topic. So I see it as nothing but good that we have had the opportunity to look at those gaps, because we have found gaps. Let me say that here. We have found gaps in our processes administratively, and we will fix them and remedy them so all students feel safe, and all employees, members of our community, feel safe moving forward. So this time I'll answer any particular questions you may. I'm sorry, I don't want to.
Right on time. Thank you. I will take my first question from Senator Carlson.
I just want to thank you for your work that you're doing. I do have a concern, and my concern is that the event that kind of started this all at the beginning of the year was at the beginning of the year. And we haven't seen anything that like actual actions are being taken and actual changes are being made. And in the instance that did happen, like someone's life someone could have died. And it's a safety issue. And it could happen tomorrow. And so I'm just concerned that it's not going along quickly enough, especially because of how it should be a timely thing.
Let me share with you. What I'm sharing with you is things that we are formally putting into processes. Doesn't mean we haven't made changes already to procedures to deal with some of these. For example, we have already dealt with people to dial 911 versus security, creating signage to ensure that people know what to do in an emergency and communicating those people, change some procedures in accessibility resources, how we communicate with those students who have those issues. So you're 100% correct. I can't disagree with you, but I'm just letting you know we have begun to move it on some of those things already.
Thank you, VP Morris. My next question is from Senator Nowak.
I'll be honest, I don't have as much of a question. I just wanted to thank you very much for coming in, especially very short notice, and being willing to talk about this and provide some special insight on this and the wonderful work that you've been doing. And thank you very much for coming and participating.
Thanks for the invite.
Thank you. Senator Roberts.
My question is, when these resolutions and these policies come forward, are you going to make sure that these are done without, how do I phrase this better? Is money going to become a problem? And if so, are you willing to waive that concern to make sure that students feel safe on this campus?
Anybody that knows me knows I have a saying that I get every year, and that is, universities always have money for what they consider important. We're $150 million plus yearly operating budget. We can find the money if we consider it important to find the dollars to do it. The job is to elevate. Let me show you, it has been elevated to be important to the university to fix some of these problems. So I do not think money is going to be a problem. And again, let me be real honest. What I consider a lot of money, you may not. So, do we, if we had to spend $100,000 to fix a series of things, do we have it? Yes. Does it mean we may not do something else? Yes. Those are priorities, Dad. There's finite dollars, and those are decisions. But I do think part of ADA is it is required by the federal government for us to do some of these things, so we don't really have a choice not to do those kind of things and keep our federal dollars. So no, I do not think money will be an issue. Now, does it mean we may not find cheaper ways that are just as effective? For example, one of the resolutions deals with the issue of, we should have a student worker somewhere on the second floor. That's about a $20,000 a year. Keep doing it that way. Is there a way we can do it with access cards and other ways that are one-time shot money to get it fixed, to deal with those issues around access? Those are things we can fix for less dollars and less fixed. So the principle will be met at the least expensive way to do it that still meets the safety needs of all our students and employees.
Thank you, Vice President Morris. Do I have any last questions? Any last questions? Any questions? Thank you, Vice President Morris, for being with us all here. I would also like to acknowledge that Vice President Morris is one of the members of the cabinet who have worked very closely with Senate, so we appreciate your work. Moving on, do I have anybody else for open forum today? Anyone for open forum? Last call for open forum. I'm going to quickly look at Zoom. All right, moving on. Next business item is the approval of consent agenda. Do I have any dissent on the approval of consent agenda? Any dissent? Any dissent? Seeing as no dissent, the consent agenda is approved. Moving on to officer reports, I'm going to start with President Stiff.
I apologize for having to step out for a second. The meeting has been intense thus far. Other than that, y'all, it's our last meeting as we've already noted. All year we've had a lot of hard work going into what we've done, and that's been shown through our accomplishments. This year we pushed a basic needs campaign, and that wouldn't have been possible just with me, Kara, and Manahil. It's been possible because of all of you. And so I want to make that known that, like I said at the beginning of this year, I wanted to work as a team, and I hope I've done that, and in the future I'll do better to also improve that. But I want to thank you all for all this work that you put behind the Student Basic Needs campaign, getting students paid, and looking at students holistically. Yeah, so some historic things that have happened this year. Again, all-female exec team, including Emmy. We've had a new president of the university. We had a new advisor come in midway through the year and just jump into the role and do her best. We had a very rare special election in which a lot of you were elected. We got students scholarships, low-income student scholarships. We created a housing website that's going to be going into effect. And now from our campaign on the Wellness Center, a new social worker or case manager will be coming to the university next year to help students throughout homelessness or other crises they might be having. Outside of that, we received an email recently that the president just signed off on the 2 referendums we all pushed to pass, so I want to thank you all for your work on that. The inauguration is tomorrow, so I will not be president in a few hours, but I want to invite you all to come and enjoy that with us. There's banquet next week. We're going to be giving out like quirky, maybe corny senator awards, so come to that. And then again, I'll leave one of you all to talk about like transition reports. Besides that, y'all, we don't always agree, and we're not supposed to, and that's the order of democracy. That's the order of how Senate goes and how order of any governmental body goes. And so we're not supposed to, but that's why we run for these positions. We advocate for what we're personally passionate about, and so I want to thank you all for doing that this year. And I hope this year has taught us all a lesson in grace and holistic support. So again, it's been a hard, very hard, long year, but I want to thank y'all for sticking through it, at least serving through the end of the term. So thank you.
All right. I will take my first question from Senator Roberts.
Do you know when the housing website is going up officially?
Yeah, so VP Jones just signed off on that, like the final recommendation for the actual website, so it should be up by next fall. He didn't want to make any promises for like right now, but next fall it should be up.
Awesome. Do I have any last questions? Any questions? Any questions? All right, moving on to our next officer report of the day, which is Vice President Zaversal.
Thank you. So Vice President Steph covered a lot of the achievements and stuff, and so I kind of wanted to take this in a different direction real quickly. So I was doing my homework last night, rare, and I was reading a book about how you create effective teams. And I was like, oh, this is annoyingly helpful. I wish I would have read this at the beginning of the year. So like maybe do your homework at the time it's due, and like things could be helpful. But never mind. But so one thing that they really talked about is in the beginning of group development, everybody is jazzed, everybody's thriving, nobody's really dissenting. Everyone looks to the leaders as like kind of puts them on a pedestal. And then the next phase is where there's a ton of conflict and a lot of subgroups form, people resent the leaders feel disrespected. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay. And so what's important there is to stay in and have the conversations, and leaders need to feel comfortable passing off some of that power, and members need to feel comfortable remembering that people are people and people do jobs, people aren't jobs. And so that's a way forward for healing. And then when you get through that stage, you get to like the glorious work stage, which only happens to, according to this book, like 15% of groups. And so I guess what I say to point this out is that like doing this kind of work is hard. And we are learning as we go. And I think all of us will take the information we have now, hopefully read a book about group development in the future, and then can go to our next groups and say, okay, this was kind of an S show, but I learned a lot, and now I know how to approach this differently. And so I hope that's something that we all can take from this, find some peace, find some healing, find a pool this summer, like do what you gotta do. reach out to counseling services. They only give you 10 sessions, but if you need more, Open Door Health Center, very low barrier access, find a counselor. Yes, but I do have one final thought to end on, which is that we have been working hard creating our little quirky awards and spiel for the banquet on inauguration. And President Stiff pointed this out, but I would like to just echo, you know, we may not always agree with each other, but we can always come together to roast administrators. And so I hope that you guys join us for the banquet, because that is our God-given right as student leaders, is to make fun of administration. And I think that's normal, I think that's healthy, I think it's a good release. So if you have specific roasts, we have a 5-page, no, I'm just kidding, but we have some significant work put in. Dr. Jones, as you may imagine, is a hard-hitting target, so if you have anything else you want to pitch our way, feel free to stalk their social medias and look for embarrassing photos and send them to us. Yeah, just anything like that. So let's come together one last time to make fun of administrators. Let's do that with pride, all right? Thank you.
Thank you. I will take questions for Vice President Saverso at this point. Senator Wayne.
For those of us who are unable to attend the banquet, would you be willing to provide photos / videos, perhaps, of specific roasts?
Yeah, I think that's important, and we can make that happen for you. Mary, we're looking to you. You do your honor.
ID Solutions providing us the very amazing live stream services.
So
and
we'll make that happen. Don't worry, Senator Wing. We got something coming for you. Fear not.
We have been working very hard. All right. Do I have any last questions? Any questions, senators? We are still in session. Any last questions? All right. We're gonna move on to the last officer report of the year. Which is my report, y'all. I had written down some things that I wanted to share, and I just I don't know where I'm feeling, But besides all of that, I want to just acknowledge the fact that we have been together for a year. I just want to take this opportunity. It's my last report of the year. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge how proud I am of each and every senator in this room and everything we have achieved this year. We have seen some amazing projects. We have seen some amazing collaborations. We have had some milestones that we achieved. The best part for me as a speaker was to see senators come together on one project and making that happen. So I just want to acknowledge how proud I am of each and every senator who started an amazing project this year and went through and completed that. And if that project wasn't completed, you all made some amazing progress on that. And hopefully, if you're reelected, you will continue that project. Or if not, you will pass it on to the next Senate. So just take a moment to just be proud of yourself and everything you have achieved this year. Okay. Okay, my motto for this year was I wanted to end the last student government meeting on a very happy note. I wanted everyone to be smiling at each other, be very happy, be very nice, like a Hallmark movie. I got very obsessed. I'm not an American, so I recently was introduced to Hallmark movies, and I got obsessed with them for some reason. I don't know, could be stress from student government, but I was like, everyone's so happy here. So that was my motto for the end of the year meeting. I wanted everyone to be a Hallmark movie and have a happy ending, which somewhat wasn't as successful, but for the rest of the meeting, let's just be happy, We have opinions. This is student government. This is government, you all. It's politics. We all have opinions. We have different opinions. We have strong opinions. They are opposite to each other, but at the end of the day, we're all students. We're here because, first of all, we're full-time students. Some of us have part-time jobs. Some of us are full-time students, part-time students. Some of us have leadership positions outside of student government, and we're heavily involved in school. But again, we took the responsibility to take a position in student government because we wanted to represent our other students. So I just wanna be so proud of the fact that you all stuck through. You know, you all pulled through. We have had some difficulties. The year got difficult. It was hard, but we made it through, guys. This is the end. We made it through a full year. So just be proud. Take this moment to just acknowledge everything that you have done, everything that your fellow senators have done, everything that your leadership has done, everything your advisor has done. We have all worked hard, so let's just have a Hallmark happy ending, because I really need that.
Period.
At the end, I just wanted to say that I'm going to miss working with everyone. I'm going to miss seeing you all every Wednesday for sure, and then seeing you all in my office every now and then. At the start of the year, I called my mom and I was like, I don't know if I want to dress up every Wednesday. That was a big thing for me. I was like, Mom, I don't know if I want to dress up. But like, I loved it. And then last night I called my mom and I'm like, oh, tomorrow is the last meeting and I'm going to miss dressing up every Wednesday. So like, do you guys see the progress here? We've all learned this year. One other thing that I wanted to acknowledge is how I've seen you guys and myself just moving on and like being like a grown-up person. Because I was, in the start of the year, I was a very opinionated leader. I was a senator, you all, last year, just like you. I've had very big opinions, and I've had times where it was just so hard. Guys, can you give me a moment? I've had times where it was very hard for me to stay quiet, because as a part of my job as a speaker, I don't have opinions, but I have to make sure that you all have opinions and your voices are heard. So it's just from where I was struggling, that I want to have a voice and I want to have opinions, to going through this year, giving you all a chance to speak your opinions and speak your truth, made me a good listener. I've had several people telling me that, Manahil, you're a good listener now. So I just want to put this forward, that we all learn from every opportunity we get. This was a year full of experiences. This was a year that we had conflicts, but we learned from it. This was a year where we were confident to speak our truths. We were confident to make a change. We were confident to go and disagree publicly of something that we don't agree with. We were confident to advocate for ourselves in front of deans, admins. We represented ourselves in front of president, his cabinet. So just like, be proud of yourself, y'all. That's all. Now down to the housekeeping things. What else was? Last week was the office hours due. If you haven't submitted those office hours, I would appreciate if you do. But for this week, I'm not gonna ask for any office hours. This week you guys don't have to submit for any office hours. Just take the time to relax, focus on finals. No more office hours. Transition reports. You all receive an email from me to do your transition reports. It's basically what it is all the experiences that I was just talking about that you guys have had would be very helpful for the next Senate. Because most of you, like 80% of you, were totally new to student government, and we had to pick it up from right there and move forward. What would have been helpful was if you had the previous senators give you a transition report, and they did, just for record. And just learn through those transition reports of how the last Senate, what the last Senate had to go through, how they had to do resolutions, how they had to make changes, how they had to start projects. So just get some experience from that. So the senators who are coming in brand new, which we have seen a lot of new senators who are elected, are brand new to student government. For them, it would be very helpful to take the knowledge from your experience. Do not make the same mistakes that you probably did, or just save some time. So when you're writing those transition reports, look at it as a conversation that you're having with the new senator who's going to be taking your place. Be like, I don't know, godfather, godmother, and explain them what they should do and what they should not do, how they should approach. So, and you have all seen the template that I sent out in the link. If anyone hasn't done that yet, it's the email, it has the link, you can click on that link, it'll take you to Teams, it has templates from the previous senators. So just follow that template. If there's any extra information that those templates don't have, but you would really appreciate the next senators to know, just add that. It's not a rule book, just add whatever you think would be valuable for the next Senate. That would still be counted as your office hours if you didn't do office hours last week, but you don't have to do office hours this week. Again, those transition reports are a requirement for you to get a graduation code. So when you will be graduating, you will be receiving a graduation code from student government. If you didn't do your transition reports, you're not eligible to receive a graduation code. So I would hate for that to happen, so don't do that. What do I have? Finals are on our head, guys. Good luck, best of luck. Study, chill, get Starbucks, that helps. And last but not least, speaker's position is open for next year, so I would very much encourage each and every one of you to apply for that. You will be doing my job next year, so if you have any questions, if you're interested, if you want to just ask me, I don't know, what kind of questions you have, feel free to come meet with me. I will be in office until the end of this week, so very much encourage you all to ask questions if you're interested into the position, and then apply for it, because this position is very rewarding. And then I want to see, I have the last thing on my agenda. Before that, I'm just going to ask if there's any questions. Senator Darlington?
Do we have to do like a transition report every year, like if you
Yes.
decide to contest again?
What?
If you agree, like every time you get into city government, do you have to like a report?
Yes. Your transition report is your experience from this year.
Okay.
So if you got reelected for the very same position, write a letter to yourself about all the experiences you had this year and what you would like to change from there. Because it doesn't only help you, we have transition reports from 2018, 2019. Senators can go back and check what experience Senate had in 2018 or 2019. So it's for record keeping. Senator Roberts.
It's a comment. I also like Hallmark movies, I'll admit. It's a nice change from, you know, the world that we live in. But I wanted to thank you for, you know, guiding us, helping us through some of the hard moments of this year. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Roberts. Any last questions? Any last questions? President Stipp.
Yeah, so if you're not graduating this, like you still get cores if you were a senator and you decide not, and you served for a full term and you decide not to run next year, you would just have to come to that year, like Emma, for example, President Zelmer, and then tell her like, oh, I served from this term to this term. They'll look up your records, how long, and then you'll still get it. So if you graduate next year, don't worry, you'll still get cores.
Yeah, you just have to have your transition report in record. If there's no last question, I'm just gonna make one last comment, which is, my mom has been a dedicated audience this year, you all, and she knows most of you all, so Mom, this is for you. She has watched every Senate meeting, every Wednesday, and then she gives me some brilliant advices. Because this woman just, I think has so much time on her hand. No, Mom, I'm just kidding. But she has been a very dedicated audience, and she's a fan of like most of the senators here, so just want to put it out there. And then last thing on my report is Dean of the Day, which is Dean Loiza. I did not want to mispronounce that. Dean Loiza, would you like to share some words with the Senate?
Sure.
Thank you. Don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you would like to.
Thank you, and yes, I will be brief. I don't have like 20 minutes of remarks or anything like that. But first of all, I think on behalf of the Dean's Council, I just wanted to thank you and congratulate you all for your advocacy and your hard work on behalf, really, not just for students, but for the whole university. So keep up the good work. This is my last chance to address you in this capacity because you're probably aware of the college mergers. So as SBS Dean, this is the last hurrah. So yeah, no Hallmark movie there, right? But the good work that faculty are doing in SBS and Arts and Humanities will continue into the new college. And for those of you that will be staying on until next year, I just want to say that the faculty at MSU Mankato are your biggest champions and your biggest advocates. So I just want you to know that because I know that on a day-to-day level, when you're working through the various issues and problems that come up, sometimes you don't necessarily see those that are championing you, but that's why your professors got into this business in the first place. So I did want to give a shout out to them. Also to you for anyone who's graduating, way to go, rock on, and good luck in your future endeavors. And I think, yeah, with that, so congratulations graduates, and those of you that are either continuing or considering continuing into next year, thank you in advance for your service, and good luck on finals. So thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the, do I have a motion on the floor?
Oh, no, it was just a question.
Oh,
For you.
For me, okay. Straight that question.
I just want to know what time your mom watches. She's in Pakistan.
She's from Pakistan. So thank you. Shout out to ID Solutions for the live stream and the beautiful video they provide she's a subscriber on the channel. So like the first time I sent her a link and I was like, oh mom, by the way, if you're ever curious of what I do, here's a link, and then she just got addicted, I guess. So she's
what time is it? Like right now?
So right now in Pakistan is 10 hours in front of us. So right now in Pakistan, she doesn't want the live stream. She watches like later on.
Okay.
Yeah, no, not right now. No.
So it's like sleep time there.
Yeah, right now it's 7 a.m. morning. No, 4 a.m. 4 a.m. 4 a.m. Yes.
Oh, so they're already the next day.
Yeah. Sometimes she would watch and then she would send me a voicemail and she'd be like, oh, by the way, I really like the outfit of this senator I really like this comment that this one senator made. That was really good. So I'm like, oh, thank you. So she is very dedicated to student government. I think she's gonna miss all of us next year. Do I have any last questions? Senator Nowak.
I think for the banquet, you need to call your mom in and have your mom roast us.
She would love that.
Snap part of
She would love that. Okay, she's gonna be hearing this. Mom, you're invited to banquet.
Speaking as an administrator, I was going to say exactly that.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna report my roast personally.
Yeah.
Awesome. Then, my mom.
Your mom better bring her agent.
Yeah, she will be invited through Zoom. All right, guys, let's move on to next order of business, which is senator reports. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 senator reports for today. We're going to follow the same guidelines. Every senator will have up to 1 minute and 30 seconds, and then I will be opening the floor for questions. I'm going to start with Senator Dustin.
Hi everyone. So very excited, today is the last day, and I just want to share a couple of things that I've been working on this semester. When I just joined, I recognized like 3 projects that I was going to be working on, such as the health insurance, the male athletic, like male soccer team, and then food waste and dining service. So for the international student health insurance, I had a meeting with Jessie Fred. She's the international student. She's a director, something like that. And she gave us a better understanding of the problem. And the meeting was geared towards understanding what is the university policy in regards to international student health insurance, and she made us to understand that F1 and J1 students are required to have their student insurance from the university. So F1 students are students who are like full-time students here, and J1 students are like part-time students who just have like few semesters and then they leave. So it gave us a better understanding, and then there was a question like, why is it that students have to take it from the school? And she made us to understand that the reason is because the university does not want the student to be in a position tomorrow where they have to leave because they don't have health insurance, or where something happens and then they don't have health insurance to go to a nearby clinic or a hospital. So she told us that, however, they have some eligibility waiver, and that is if the health insurance is being covered by the government of the student's country, they can accept that. Other than that, they cannot take it from the parent or maybe a non-profit.
Senator Dustin, we have reached the time limit. So I'm gonna give you 10 more seconds to wrap up quick. Just like name all the
All right, thank you
projects
so
you've been
much.
working on.
I'll be really quick with this one. So for food waste, we had a meeting with the dining service, and they told us that the reason why they don't like students to take food home, especially food that are on the line, is because of two reasons. And one is because of health and safety concern, and the last one is because of liability issue, which is a whole lot of different things. For meal soccer team, we were not really able to do much this year because they made us to understand that the university have to adhere to federal policy of Type 29, which basically states they have to have equilibrium in the programs they have. Total number of meals team and total number of female team should be.
All right, Senator Dustin, since we're running out of time, since we're running out of time, I very much appreciate all the work that you have done this year. Thank you so much. If there's any more information you would like to share with the Senate, you have Groupie. Please share all the great projects you've been working on. Great report. Thank you. Oh, actually, does anyone have any questions for the Senator? Any questions? Any questions? All right. Thank you, Senator. Senator Hansen.
Greetings. To kind of not be redundant on my last report, I'm not going to cover this stuff like food waste and some parking stuff. So really my new project that I've been working on is answering 3 questions for students of SBS, my constituents. Why the founding dean is needed, why we are combining the 2 colleges, what was the reasoning for it in the first place, and then what it means for students in the future. I have faced some issue with this as a member, as the student representative on the founding dean search committee. I've seen that both staff, faculty, and administration have no idea what's going on and why this is happening, especially psychology, which is one of the colleges that is set to move kind of, I guess, locations in a sort of way. And I've seen from both their chair and from other people that they really have no idea why this is going on, what's going to mean for students. And we saw it here with the election, but we really have no idea what it's going to mean for even senators of SBS and arts and humanities. So I've been working on that, and that will continue into my next year as I have been elected to a separate position. And so here's that.
First of all, I appreciate how much right on time you are. Did you practice this?
Nope.
Great projects, great report. Do we have any questions for the Senator? Any questions? Any questions? All right, thank you. Next on my list, I have Senator Hashimoto.
Hello. Hi everybody. Thank you so much for the time today. I just wanted to report a couple of things. One major project that I was working on was about the Career Initiative for the College of Arts and Humanities. I have gone through a couple things, and I remember it was talking about some career fair for the college exclusively, which was a little too difficult around this time, and it requires quite a bit time and effort from the faculty members. So I actually changed that pathway to the faculty referral, and I was able to actually get contact with faculty members who are willing to introduce an employer who are interested in hiring the College of Arts and Humanities student to the Career Development Center. So I'm really happy that this thing happened. Hopefully the next Arts and Humanities Senator can probably make a form or some sort of a formal pathway which can be handed down to in the future. And that's what I'm hoping for. And another thing that I've been working on was like a diversity, equity, and inclusion content in the first year curriculum. I was actually able to join the last committee with Dean Beltsos, and I was able to do a presentation about what is the possible value and what are some of the options that we can search for. So I hope I can advocate for this issue as a concerned student even after my term. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Hashimoto. Again, very much right on time. Do we have any questions for the senator? Any questions? Any questions? Senator Hashimoto, great report, great projects. Thank you for all you did this year. Senator Hawk, joining us through Zoom.
I am over Zoom, if that's okay.
Yes. You can get started, Senator Hawk.
Hi everyone, so I'm Senator Hawk, and as everyone knows that I was working with the feminine hygiene product, and because of which there's not much to report on, but yes, some of the bathrooms you might have noticed that does not have the free feminine hygiene products yet, because the janitors used to change it, but at some point they realized that they were not being utilized as much, but because of which they have put a QR code on all of the vending machines that does the feminine hygiene products in the bathrooms. If you scan that, and if you put in a report that there is none in there, the janitors will be refilling them. So that is an update. So not all of them are done, but they will be done by seeing how much usage is being done. So, well, that's it. I tried to keep it under a minute. I hope that worked.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the senator? Any questions? Any questions? Thank you, Senator Hawk. Great report, great projects. Thank you for all you did. Next on my list, I have Senator Bassett.
Hello everybody, I'm Mamta Wasnit, all the way from Nepal, and I'm also serving as a senator of Allied Health and Nursing. I'll try my best to answer, do my report under 1 minute. So my 3 projects were about improving the library service, advocating for the health insurance, which has already been described by the Senator Segban, and then the last was a senator compensation, and those all been successful. And then I'm so thankful for everybody who stood by my projects. And lastly, I just want to say that I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of everybody who have been there for me. Thank you. I stand for questions.
Thank you, Senator. Do we have any questions for the senator? Any questions? Any questions? Senator Bassett, great projects, great report. Thank you for all you did this year. Moving on to Senator Osman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So for the project I was working on is to provide enterprise car rental. I think at this point I did everything I can to see how we can move forward. But they are wanting to move forward, but because my senator ends here, I will connect them with John and remind them to stay in touch with him. And also it will be in my transition report, so hopefully the next senator at large will stay in touch with them and see how things go for next year.
Thank you, Senator Osman. Do we have any questions for the senator? Any questions? Any questions? Thank you, Senator Osman, for your project and for your report. Moving on to Senator Spears.
Hello friends, so last week the marketing committee had the Know Your Worth event
pretty well. Speakers were great. We talked about internships, burnout, did some leadership activities. Technically, we had 2 people show up, which is a success. Thank you, Bennett. Part of that, we kind of waited too long to market it. I also put the wrong room number in the posters, so that sucks, but that's all right. Another thing I've been doing is I've been helping the, is that the time? Oh, okay. So I've been helping the landmarks and buildings team, which is a staff-led initiative to rename stuff on campus. So I've been giving some input, doing some research for them. I'm not allowed to share anything, but there's some cool stuff coming up. And lastly, I just want to say thank you for voting me in the vacancy earlier this year. Getting to know all of you and work with all of you, it's been an honor, it really has. So, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Spears. Do we have any questions for the Senator? Any questions? Any questions? All right, thank you for your project. Thank you for your report. And it's been a learning experience for all of us, so thank you.
Thank you.
I can see how senators are so eager to clap. I love that. I love how you guys are all so proud of each other. And last, I have Senator Roberts who would like to share something from his project. Senator Roberts, you can keep the floor. The time limit will be same.
Hello and thank you. Obviously, we're going to be voting on the graduate assistantship policy hopefully very soon and hopefully pass it. But just a couple of the other things that I've been working on is basically working on getting graduate assistants together on a unionization effort. Additionally, I am also working on an effort to improve graduate student orientation, as it has been pretty abysmal in the past. Additionally, I have also been working with Senator Bassnett. We achieved the project on senator compensation, so that was very exciting. And a project that I am hoping to get back on the rails that unfortunately fell apart due to some issues along the road was this originally referred as the Arts and Humanities fee that we changed into the co-curricular fee category that we want to generate. Currently, that there's going to have to be more process to work on that, and that's going to be a goal for next year. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Senator Roberts. Do we have any questions for the Senator? Any questions? Any questions? Thank you, Senator Roberts, for all you did this year. Great report, great projects. Moving on to vacancies. Since it's the last meeting of the year, I'm not going to go into the vacancies that we have, but we do have some. You all have seen it on the agenda. Next on my list, I have new business, and that's the resolution, accessibility resolution. It is motioned by Senator Nowak, and it is seconded by Senator Carlson. Senator Nowak, would you like to talk on your motion?
Yes, I'm going to try to keep this very brief because we've gone through this ad nauseum and we're already past 6. But this is a motion to address some of the accessibility issues that we've seen on campus rear their ugly heads over the last year. A lot of these things are very specific and simple changes that can be made that have been told to me by Vice President Jones, as well as just spoken by Vice President Morris, that these are changes that can be made and implemented and should be made and implemented. And I would like to put forward these changes to student government to vote on them. But I am not alone in that, and I cannot take credit for writing this bill in its entirety because I was just one of several co-authors, which also included Riley Carlson, some help from David Wing, and Valerie Weber. That's all I'm going to say on this. Please, let's vote and pass this, and let's address some of these issues.
Thank you. Senator Carlson, would you like to talk on your second?
I just want to say one last thing. This resolution being put together has also been kind of a historic moment for the Senate because we had 2 completely different political groups, Turning Point USA and College Democrats, come together to make this, and I think that's really cool that we can see collaboration like this. And collaboration can happen from both sides of the aisle. Shout out to our U.S. Congress. Thank you.
This meeting, all right, everybody. This meeting is very. What did you call that? I lost that word. Historical. This meeting is historical indeed. Again, I would like to just remind everyone that this is a resolution that has been discussed in the committees. You have all had a chance to review all the information. I will now open the floor for discussion. And after the discussion points, we can move on to vote on this. Do we have a motion on the floor?
Yes, just calling the question. We've already discussed this pretty well.
I very much appreciate that. Do I have a second? Do I have a dissent? Any dissent? Any dissent? All right, now we're calling to question, which means we're going to be voting on this resolution. All in favor to pass this resolution, raise your placards now. It's a very clear yes, so I'm going to call this unanimous consent and pass this resolution. Congratulations to the whole Senate and different political parties. Moving on to old business, we have a graduate assistantship policy resolution. This is motioned by Senator Roberts, and it is seconded by Senator
Flynn.
Senator Flynn. Senator Roberts, would you like to talk on your motion?
Yeah. Basically, in committee, we made some small adjustments for basically cleaning up some of the language. We also added the cost of living statistics to it, which, just so you know, for Mankato is $36,396 a year for a single person, which is $3,033 a month. But we cleaned up a lot of the language. We added a few more items into it. Additionally, in terms of the answering, in terms of the benchmarks question, I looked through the benchmarks that Minnesota State University Mankato uses. From that, I discovered that some of the other benchmarks do provide slightly higher compensation overall, but I will note that this request, and I'm not going to, take full credit for this resolution because a lot of this came from graduate assistants and the graduate assistants that talked across all the colleges. And I'm thankful for all of their participation and hard work to try to make this happen. And with that, I'll let my second talk about it a bit more.
Thank you. Senator Flynn, would you like to talk on your second?
Yes. So knowing that a large majority of the people paying attention right now are not grad students, some of this might seem a little weird to you, but basically this motion is about making pay make sense for graduate students who are working on a stipend with the university and kind of aligning it with the increases that were added in a historic action in December, where there was an increase of $3 an hour for all student workers who were employed directly by the university. This basically just is intended to align with that, along with solving some other small issues with GAs. Primarily, my main thing with why I want to support this is the 20 hours not being a limit, and it just kind of basically, making students work for not getting more money is kind of frustrating to me. So, yeah.
Thank you, Senator Flynn. Again, this is a resolution that has been discussed in committees for, I believe, several weeks now. So I will open the floor for discussion. My first discussion point is from Vice President Saversal.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this motion is definitely one that's come from a lot of compromise. And so I'm glad to see that we were able to kind of work together and find some middle ground on this resolution, where I originally was not supportive of it. Because we've been able to work together and collaborate, I will be voting yes today. And so I think that just shows that sometimes difficult conversations like this take a while, but it's rewarding when you get to the end point. So yeah, I'll be voting yes.
Thank you. Do I have any further? I have a motion on the floor. Senator Roberts.
Call the question.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a dissent? Any dissent? Any dissent? All right, now we will be voting on whether or not we're going to pass this resolution. All in favor to pass this resolution, please raise your placards now. It's a very clear yes, but just for record, all against. Abstain? Need to have one. All right, on a vote of 18 to 0 to 1, this motion does pass. Congratulations, Senators. Moving on to announcements. Do I have any announcements? Our lovely advisor has an announcement.
Yeah, so this is less of an announcement and more of like my time to say like those heartfelt, sentimental things that come at the end of the year. And I'm not doing it in front of the microphone because I don't know why, but that podium still freaks me out. It is. I don't know, y'all. So I just want to, first I just want to say like thanks for letting me come along for this wild ride of a Senate experience. As an advisor, coming in 2/3 of the way through the year is already really challenging. But also when you're following up for John Volcock, of all people, like, that's just like, Lars up here. So I appreciate your openness and willingness to work with me and to provide feedback. That's something that I really value as a professional. And so I overall have really enjoyed the experience. There have been some times where my blood pressure has gotten a little high. There was a nice post in the group me about that at one point. David really threw me in on that one. But overall, it has been a really good experience, and I really have enjoyed working with y'all. I was kind of thinking about this idea of the semester, and the idea kind of like of learning and growing and how it's a messy thing. And I don't know, have most people in here, have they seen the show Fleabag?
Nope.
Nope? Great. Okay, so there's a really iconic speech at the end of the second season. It's from a priest. It's like a wedding like speech. But I was like, as I started writing out my like notes about like what is it like to like be growing and learning like in this kind of environment, I realized that it was almost like a parallel to that speech. So I actually went and pulled it and kind of like tweaked parts of it just to kind of give like a little bit of a context. So growth that comes with being a leader is awful. It's awful. It's painful. It's frightening. It makes you doubt yourself, judge yourself, distance yourself from the other people in your life. It makes you obsessed with your hair, makes you say and do things you never thought you would do. Being a leader is all any of us want, and it's hell to get there. People talk about leadership a lot, feeling right, and that when leadership feels right, it's easy. But I'm not sure that's true. It takes strength to know it's right, and growing as a leader isn't something that weak people do. Being a leader takes a hell of a lot of growth. And I think that that's been spoken to in a lot of ways. That's the end of that bit. But I think that's been spoken to in a lot of ways throughout today. And like when I look at this group, even from when I came in February to now, there has been this massive shift. And that's been really cool to see. Like that's kind of, at least for a lot of the folks who work in those not faculty roles, I'm not going to speak for faculty because I'm not a faculty member, that kind of stuff is why we do what we do. So I just want to say thank you. I hope that as you're looking back on this year, that there are lessons that you can take with you moving forward. Those moments of growing and those moments of discomfort are probably never going to go away, but those are those moments that really shape us into who we are. I know I have apologized a lot this semester, but that's all part of the learning process. So you have a lot to be proud of this year. Sometimes it's a wild ride to get there, and sometimes it's hard to be a senator in particular because your growth is on public display. But you go through what you grow through what you go through. So, yes. I was also going to put in a little thing at the end here and play like the, and I can say like, hey look Mom, I made it, and have it do the Panic at the Disco thing, but I forgot to look up where that is in the song, so sorry y'all, drop that joke, so.
Okay, next I have Max.
I'm not afraid of the microphone.
That's so sad of me, man.
I would still appreciate you moving it up.
Got it. Alright, as many of you know, I'm actually graduating this year, so this is my last Senate meeting. This is my, hold it quiet. No, this is the third Senate that I've actually reported on, so I've been in that chair for like 3 years now. It's been kind of crazy, and I was just reflecting on that the other day. And I just wanted to say thank you all for just being awesome and advocating for students all these years. I don't know if you guys know this, but my first real story was actually Kara's Swipe Out Hunger back 3 years ago now. So it's kind of weird to think about. So thank you from the reporter, and I wish you all the best, whether you're graduating or if you're moving on, or if you're going to be in these seats again next year. Good luck. So. Thank you.
Senator Wayne.
All right. So as many of you know, I am very involved in politics, and I have actually been reached out to by a number of candidates for state and local office. Being that summer's coming up, if you want to get involved with any candidate, or if you have questions for literally any candidate, I've heard from almost all of them in the last 2 weeks. Let me know. I can get you their contact info, get you in touch with them. They're always open to answering any questions you might have. Also, this fall, you can definitely expect to see myself as well as Senator Novak. We're going to be moving ahead with the Turning Point USA College Democrats debate. We had a kind of practice run last night, and it went very well. And we're looking forward to doing a larger format debate here in the fall. We're thinking around September, so we'll definitely be back with some more information for those senators that are returning in the fall.
Talk about opportunities. Congratulations, first of all. Next, I have Senator Hansen.
Well, you should have all gotten an email this morning that we actually have set a set provost now. So that's awesome. He's a great guy. He will probably be involved with Senate more than you're used to before, so be expected to see that next year if you're a senator or even if you're just around campus. As both a new person and as what he's expressed numerous times, both through the student session, which sadly no one here attended except for me, but that's I digress. Not here to shame anyone. Made it less public, but anyways, they advocate for student growth repeatedly and for student compensation, and so it's nice to have that, and I think we'll see it better in the future.
Thank you, Senator Hansen. Do I have any last announcements? Any announcements? Senator Bassett?
Can I add a word? It's not an announcement, but can I add a word? Like, can I
add a word? Yes, go for it.
Okay. I forgot to tell in my signature report. I'm thankful for people who have voted on me for the next election. I'm running for the next election, and I hope to carry on the same thing, whatever I have done for this year. So thank you so much for everyone who believed in me and who voted me. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. All right, everybody. Once again, this is the last. Are you taking a photograph?
I'm gonna when you bang.
Okay. This was an amazing experience, an amazing year. I will be graduating in December, so you will see me for another 6 months. But I'm not planning to stay as busy. But I just want to say that being in student government was the highlight of my student life. I have been very involved in other things, but Senate has taught me so much, and I'm so thankful of each and every one of you. I'm so thankful of all the administration. I'm so thankful of President, his cabinet. I've learned so much from everything, and I'm just very happy, very proud. I'm going to brag about student government all my life. I'm going to add it to my portfolio. By the way, I'm going to add to my portfolio that I can talk about. I can talk for 10 hours non-stop, no problem. Referring back to our budget meeting, historical budget meeting. We made a record, you all. I'm going to adjourn the roll call because I've seen you guys are all here. It's the last meeting. So I will adjourn this meeting, especially because I'm getting recorded. I'm going to adjourn this meeting at 6:21 p.m.
I don't have a hat.
I threw it up. Y'all have a picture.